Hello taxpayers, today I want to talk a little bit about debt. Debt sucks. Do whatever you can to get out of it and stay out of it. You can end the video right there. But I want to go a little more into it. Regarding the IRS and your state, there are options to get out of the debt that you currently have. There's payment plans, there's something called an offer in compromise, and there's special statuses such as currently non-collectible or simply asking them to pause any collections activity. Now, regarding having debt with the IRS, it's scary to have because they can go after your assets, they can garnish your wages, and they can place liens on your assets. So my best piece of advice is do what you can to enter into some sort of agreement with the IRS or your state, as this isn't a fun place to be. Aside from assets or levying your accounts, things like that, it's harder to sleep at night, plain and simply. And the IRS does want to work with you to get out of this existing debt. Now, regarding a payment plan, pretty simple. You're just gonna, I don't know where my calculator is, but basically divide your total outstanding debt by 72 months. You can do a 6-year payment plan. It's very straightforward most of the time. Forgive me, it might be 60-month, 5-year payment plan. But this can still be difficult. So if that's the case, you can always ask, let's say your budget only permits $200 a month, but your minimum payment comes out to be $300 a month. Sometimes the IRS can take your information such as your daily expenses, your rent, X, Y, and Z that you have to pay money for to live on a daily basis. The IRS can take your expenses and do their calculations to see if you might qualify for a lower payment. It's simply requesting a financial. When I work with my clients, it's something I can do sometimes. Now, it's not as straightforward. Let's say I have a balance of $20,000 with the IRS. Well, just because I might be able to qualify for a lower payment today, well, the IRS can see if I make more money in the years to come. So they're gonna want that $20,000 ultimately. I'm not saying it's easy to get out of debt or it's even possible to get out of the debt, but point in saying this is the IRS, they're human too. They wanna work with you to get out of these situations. So keep that in mind. It doesn't really make sense to push this off because that's not going to get you out of this sticky situation. So payment plans, very straightforward, easy to set up with them. If you work with an enrolled agent, such as myself, fairly straightforward to set you up on a payment plan too. But I try to look at all options. Now, forgive me, older individuals, those that are coming to the end of their working years, there's a status called currently non-collectible. It's a pretty unfortunate thing to see people that have worked 50, 60 years and still have tax debt. It's pretty unfortunate, but it does exist, and there is a special status called currently non-collectible that some individuals can be granted because the IRS acknowledges, well, they have 10 grand due, but they don't even make enough to survive. They're living on credit cards. The IRS can grant you the status currently non-collectible, which means, well, today, based off their situation, they don't have the money to pay. Now, that could change. You know, someone like me, I'm not where I'd like to be financially. So let's say I had this $10,000 debt. I would not want to go under currently non-collectible because the plan is to make more money later in life. Once I start making that additional money, well, the IRS is going to see, hey, this guy's making more money. He was currently non-collectible, but today his situation's different. He makes more money. He can afford this tax bill, and they're going to want that payment. Now, currently non-collectible is great. Let's say you lost your job, you're going through a divorce, lost your house, whatever it might be, something extremely unfortunate. It's a good status to get into to help you in the temporary, meaning you have that $10,000 that you owe the IRS, but they acknowledge you need to get through today. Your just basic living expenses are more important than existing IRS debt. So they'll grant you this status so you can make the payment later on in life. It's a little bit to know about currently non-collectible. Finally, there's offer and compromise. Let's say you have a large balance, $25,000. Well, let's say it's actually $45,000. Forgive me, I know that there's certain rules that apply depending on how much you owe, but let's say it's $45,000. The minimum payment, forgive me, 45 grand divided by 72 months, still $625. Now, $625 a month for 6 years. Let's say I only have $180 a month of money after my food, my rent, all my expenses, health coverage, whatever it may be. If I only have $150 a month, but my minimum payment comes out to be $625, well, that doesn't work. How am I going to make that money? How am I going to make that IRS payment, that minimum payment? Well, there's an application one can do called offer and compromise. Pretty difficult, pretty tedious. You hire an enrolled agent typically so they can do this for you. You can do it on your own if you go on the IRS website. I think there's an offer and compromise calculator to see if you do in fact qualify or not. But again, with that, so 45 grand, let's say that's my overall balance. The IRS is going to want 20% of that paid with the application. So that's $9,000. Now the idea here is it can get you out of some debt. Instead of paying $45,000, you can get away possibly with paying $9,000 if you do in fact qualify. And this offer and compromise application does go through. In my experience, you have to submit them a couple times, and it's not always a guarantee. Now, let's say you're a high earner and you just want to maintain that boat payment and your Mercedes payment, whatever it may be. The IRS is not dumb. They're gonna seriously look at these assets. Well, this guy has a yacht, he's got a sport boat, he's got jet skis, he's got a Porsche, he's got 3 other cars, but he doesn't want to pay us. They're not dumb. They're gonna want their payment if they see you can make it. But if they see, okay, this guy drives a 1995 Honda, he is a renter, he's just making the payments to get by today, et cetera, well then possibly you can get this offer and compromise to go through and then essentially negotiate your payment in full. But again, it requires a lot more money up front. Debt sucks. That's what I said to start this video. You don't want to stay in that spot. So if you have an existing debt with IRS, it's not the end of the world. Just do what you can to enter into an agreement so you can get this behind you, so you can move on and sleep easier at night, et cetera, et cetera. Outside of IRS and state tax debt in general, it's a hard thing to do to get out of. But if you're in it today, understand the actions you take today may or may not get you out of it. If you want to get out of debt, stop using credit. Whatever you have to do, take a step back in life, cut your expenses across the board, do what you have to do to get out of debt. It's not something you can hope for. Now, of course, there is sometimes some leniency. There is cancellation of debt. Let's say you have a credit card that you haven't made a payment on in 5 years. Well, sometimes you can negotiate pennies on the dollar. Let's say 10 grand is what you had due. Sometimes you can negotiate, well, I have $1,200. Can I give you that and be out of my debt? Sure, they might say. Now, every situation is different, but negotiating your payoffs could be helpful. Now, let's say in that last scenario, I negotiated 10 grand down to $1,200 because that's all I had at the moment. Well, I'm gonna get taxed on the debt that was forgiven of $8,800. Just something to keep in mind. It's not all free and dandy, but let's say that creditor did decide to give you a discount. Forgive me for lack of a better term, but if they gave you that discount, well, they're going to take it as a write-off and make you pay tax on it, kind of thing. Something to keep in mind. There's help out there if you do need debt relief. I don't suggest you pursue it because it typically costs money, there's no guarantees, and you're still gonna have to pay these creditors. So do the research on your own, see what you can do on your own terms. Excuse me rather. If you have debt with the IRS or state tax board, again, this is a service I like to provide. Instead of you talking to these tax entities, I will talk on your behalf. I will negotiate on your behalf. You know, debt solution companies can also do the same, but typically they might charge a premium. Again, I do charge. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to do this for free, but I charge per my time. Let's say you have $50,000 due. Okay, let's say you have $10,000 due. All right, well, I'm simply going to charge you for my time rather than, okay, I can make more money off this person that has more debt. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to work with someone, I suggest working on a fee basis, time basis, rather than a percentage. I can go on in this conversation regarding fees, but again, just something to keep in mind. Watch out for that. If you're in debt outside of tax, like outside of tax debt, work your ass off to get out of it. There's a guy I like. I don't subscribe to his channels or anything like that, but Dave Ramsey, he's got some very just digestible, just palatable points. They're hard to hear sometimes. He has people come on and tell their stories. I assure you there's probably another story that you can relate to. The idea is you just really have to work hard to get out of this debt. No one's going to do it for you. And it's important you stop making bad decisions that'll keep you in this state. I'm sorry if I'm being hard on you, but I want the best for you. I want the best for my clients. I think debt is one of those things that can really weigh you down in life and take away from the good things there are in life. So if there's anything I can do for you regarding tax and getting out of your tax debt, negotiating a payment plan, etc., please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. If you're intimidated by this subject, completely understandable. I've been in tough situations myself financially, and I completely respect how uncomfortable this situation is, but I'm here to help. Other people are out there to help. Please reach out to me if I can talk about this at all and get you moving in the right direction. Again, my initial consultation is free, and I simply charge for my time. All right, happy tax paying, get out of debt, enjoy your life, take care, peace.